This is Give a Book, Give a Voice, and today we're reading Lily the Rainforest Fairy. Food from the Forest. Look, Kirsty, Rachel Walker called as she hurried through the trees. I think I found some wild onions. Oh, great, Kirsty Tate, Rachel's best friend, ran to join her, swinging on the basket. The two girls were on a nature walk in the forest near the vacation cottage on Rainspell Island, where they were spending the school break with their families. Rachel and Kirsty knelt down and gazed at the onion plants. They had long, thin leaves and greenish-white flowers. The girls knew that not so far underground there were onion bulbs. The junior naturalist class we went to this morning was fun, wasn't it, Kirsty? Rachel said with a smile. I never realized there were so many things growing wild on Rainspell Island that you can eat. Do you have the soup recipe the teacher gave us? Kirsty took a leaflet labeled mushroom soup out of her basket. Joe told us that we should only take as much as we needed, Kirsty reminded Rachel. Otherwise, the plant won't be able to reseed itself, and there won't be new onion plants next year. Rachel checked the recipe ingredients. Then she carefully pulled some of the onion bulbs from the ground and put them in Kirsty's basket. The girls had already collected some sprigs of sweet-smelling thyme and other herbs. Now we just have to find some mushrooms, and we can make soup for dinner tonight. Rachel jumped to her feet. We have to remember to check the booklet about mushrooms that Joe gave us, because we need to make sure that the ones we find aren't poisonous. Isn't it amazing how many different plants and animals there are in the forest? Kirsty remarked as they wandered along the path again. I know, Rachel agreed. It was so interesting this morning when Joe explained how all the plants and animals and birds rely on one another and on the forest for their food and shelter. Kirsty glanced around. The leaves on the trees turning red and gold and yellow, and squirrels were busily leaping around, collecting nuts to store for the winter. I love Rainspell, Kirsty said happily. I am so glad we came back, Rachel nodded in agreement. Rainspell Island was really special to Rachel and Kirsty because it was where they first became friends and where they first met the fairies. No one else knew about Rachel and Kirsty's magical friendship with the fairies. In the past, King Oberon and Queen Titania had often asked for the girls' help whenever they had problems with Jack Frost and his goblins. But this time, it had been Rachel and Kirsty's turn to ask the fairies for their help. The girls had been shocked when they returned to Rainspell Island to find litter on the beautiful golden beach, so they used their special lockets to visit Fairyland and asked the king and queen to help clean up the human world. The king and queen had named several fairies in training the earth fairies for a trial period. If they completed their allotted tasks, their special jobs would become permanent. Rachel and Kirsty had been thrilled to find out these fairies would work to make the world cleaner and greener place, but they knew that humans had to help too. But just as the earth fairies were about to be presented with their new wands, Jack Frost and his goblins had zoomed in on an ice bowl. The goblins had grabbed on the wands, and then Jack Frost's icy spell had sent them spinning away into the human world. Jack Frost was trying to prevent humans from becoming greener, but Rachel and Kirsty were determined to find the wands and return them to their rightful owners. The earth fairies needed to start their important work. I wonder if we'll find another wand today, Kirsty remarked as the girls made their way through the woods. Remember what Queen Titania always says, Rachel replied. We have to wait for the magic to come to us. But 4 of the wands are safely back in Fairyland now, at least. And we know that fairy magic can't fix all of our environmental problems, Kirsty added. We humans have to do everything we can to help as well. She pointed to a tree ahead of them. Look, Rachel, isn't that a silver birch? Yes, Rachel agreed, admiring the tree's beautiful silvery trunk. Joe showed us one this morning, and look, she went on, there are some wild flowers growing out of the foot of it. As the girls were looking at the tiny purple flowers, Kirsty felt a rain splash on her face. Suddenly, more rain began to pour down on them from the darkening sky. Quick, Kirsty, Rachel called to her friend. We can take shelter under the cluster of trees over there. The girls ran toward the trees and huddled underneath them. That's better, Kirsty said, shaking her damp hair out of her eyes. The rain is really coming down now, Rachel. Rachel was about to reply when suddenly she cried of delight. This is amazing, pointing down to her feet where there were a circle of gleaming white mushrooms. Fantastic, Kirsty laughed. Isn't it lucky that we came here to find shelter? She opened the leaflet the teacher had given them and checked the pictures carefully. I think these mushrooms are safe to eat, but we'll ask our moms too, they said at last. They'll be wonderful in our soup. I'll gather as many as we need and no more than that. Kirsty bent down to pick a few mushrooms, but then she gasped with surprise. There, hidden under one of the mushrooms, was Lily the Rainforest Fairy. That was Lily the Rainforest Fairy.